Hello, everyone. This is the NRW where Nerds Rule the World. I'm Heather Hurt. That is KAYFABEYBABY, and we are here to talk about John Wick again. I think it's kind of all we talk about here, like 95% of the time. At times, yeah, I think so.
Talked a
But
lot
we're
about
here.
John Wick.
With that being said, let's talk about the new documentary Wick Is Pain, available now to on video on demand. Let's start with the trailer.
When we say John Wick is pain, it's kind of like a fuck yeah.
I knew Keanu for years before I directed him. I don't know if you realize what kind of advantage that is.
No better union could have happened in the film business than Chad and Keanu.
They bleed Wick, they die Wick, and that's why it's so good.
When you see Keanu in pain on screen, it's probably for real.
We came up with this idea for Top Shot.
Where's the we?
Well,
You!
Yeah.
We might as well tell the whole story.
we were a tiny little movie.
We're shut down. I don't know how you find $6.5 million by Monday.
I took money out of my house. We are doomed. We are completely fucked.
We were panicked. This is Keanu fucking Reeves. You do not want to let him down.
Bye-bye, John Wick.
These two are not talking to each other.
We went through a horrible divorce.
It was insane.
We got to get this done.
Shoot!
It was just pure mayhem.
In Hollywood, you never kill a dog.
This is either genius or the worst thing I've ever made.
Is this fucking terrible?
How many more hits can this movie take?
I think this is a nail in the coffin.
This movie's about vengeance, not John Wick's. Ours.
Is the pain worth it? Yeah, it's just a lot of pain.
Wick is pain. Wick is celebration. Wick is against the odds. Wick is friendship. Wick is love. It's all those big ideas. Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah, Wick is Pain. The documentary is primarily focused on the production of the first John Wick film, which saw many, many hurdles to become one of the most successful action-based franchises in history. The film was made for basically pennies, and it made millions of dollars, and became one of the most sought-after franchises that some of the biggest Hollywood acting names and production crews have wanted to take a part in. But it was pain. The series was basically Chad Stahelski's and David Leitch's ode to becoming true directors. Both of them had done small things in the past, and they had both been secondary crews because they're two of the most sought after stuntmen in the industry. And so they were constantly doing secondary roles, but they wanted to make their own film. And that is what became known as John Wick. The film is primarily, once again, about the production of that movie, and does talk briefly on the other two films. It does not talk about Ballerina. Well, it does. It talks about how the franchise is continuing, but it doesn't talk about the expansion. It's really just about the first film with a little bit of an ode to the second and third. With that being said, KAYFABEYBABY, what were your initial thoughts when you saw this was coming?
Well, we run an outlet. I'm a film fan. I'm a filmmaker. Anything about the film industry, I will gobble up. It's what brings me in front of Heather right now, and what brings us together as an outlet. I love this industry. So yeah, makings of, behind the scenes stuff. I watch it for fun. I watch it for work. It's what I eat, live, and breathe. So John Wick, classic action franchise that I love. learning the truth and everything behind it, I was all in. So yeah, after seeing the trailer, getting word about this, I was ready to dive in.
Um, I was in the same boat. John Wick we call it classic, even though it just came out. It's literally only a decade. I love it. Just over a decade old at this point. It started I think they started production, they said in 2012, I think they said. And they had almost no time to make this film. They had no money. They had no time. They did a lot of really artsy fartsy things that neither David nor Chad were comfortable with. And yet they did it. And they made this incredibly successful film that nobody believed in, not even Lionsgate. They did not believe in it at the time. With that being said, it was exciting. I was excited to see this film. I love Keanu Reeves. You know, if you are a child of the 80s and 90s, you are a fan. It doesn't matter who you are a fan of Keanu Reeves. So we're going to make this a quick review. It's not going to be a long one, so don't worry. So KAYFABEYBABY, let's jump straight into what were your likes, dislikes about the documentary.
Really no dislikes. I thought they did an excellent job of giving us the whole story, even the ugly side of it. The fact that we were mentioning this earlier as we were prepping right before, you know, it was Chad and David Leitch, you know, together to make the first one, to come out of being just stunt people, to be now directors of their own projects. They talked about how they, you know, again, the focus is how they made it happen, but then the consecutive films, how that falling out happened. So that's kind of like the ugly side of things. You know, it looks like they were able to come together to make this documentary to tell the truth. So the fact that they're willing to let that part be told was, you know, I appreciate that. It gives us the whole scope. With Chad and his marriage, you know, he was married and then subsequent films, they separated. To bear those kind of like dirty things or secrets of your actual life is hard and difficult. And so I appreciate that. Learned a lot about the making of the film, how hard it was. I found it just very interesting because at the time when John Wick dropped, I had met Keanu at New York Comic-Con. I was covering another project of his before this had dropped. The John Wick series started dropping, and he was at that time, quote unquote, you know, he was kind of away from the whole cycle of film. You know, he's doing a lot of independent stuff. His star wasn't the same that it was before, right? So it was rather interesting. And then boom, this kicks off, and now boom, here he is. But what's beautiful and what I think we all know and love about Keanu, he's always been who he is. And he's never changed for anything. He's never let stardom and this become a thing with him. So it's just beautiful to see that he's one of those good humans that are out there. And then as a fellow Asian American, it was cool to see just how Chad, and as we saw from that trailer, Asian humility. I have to speak because I recognize it with myself. I recognize it with my other Asian friends, how Chad did a lot of things. Keanu was trying to give him credit in there. He was say that, you know, we came up with, and Keanu was like, no, you did. It's just like, it's that Asian humility that you don't want to take sole credit. We're a community-based people. And there's that beautiful nature of that I get to know and see as an Asian American, but hopefully other people get to see that, you know, and how such community-based people and work. And that was just beautiful. And it's throughout the documentary too, which is great to see, because there's so many times that Chad wants to give love and credit to everybody. He doesn't want to take the credit, and Keanu has to like, no, dude, it was you, brother. We appreciate you. So I just love that. Yeah, this was just really well done. Again, inspirational as a filmmaker. Heather and I just wrapped doing a reaction review to the Jaws at 50, which is just inspiring about Spielberg on how he never gave up. This is very much the same thing. In Wick Is Pain, we see how Chad, Keanu, David, their whole team never gave up, made the first film happen, and then they continue to make other films. And it's just so inspiring. I love it. It's why I'm here talking to you about this. You know, I love this industry, and films about this industry are so inspiring. It makes me want to go and make a film and do another interview, do another review. Hit up Heather, give her a laundry list of other things so she can tag along with me, because she loves this industry. Probably not as much as I do, but I know it's about there. But I just love this. And so, yeah, Wick Is Pain, amazing. Recommend.
Like how he just made a threat. I don't love the industry as much as he does. Um, I'm the one that got to talk to Chad Stahelski. I'd like to remind you.
Again, the things I do for the people on my team, you know how much I wanted to, but again, I know you're a fan. Like, okay, go ahead.
I probably am not as high of a fan as I will say I'm not as on the creative side as KAYFABEBABY is. I do love film with all of my heart and soul. So it is most of my life. I like to branch out a little bit more than KAYFABEBABY. I'm kidding. But with that being said, I agree. Almost all of this was. I really liked the deep dive into how difficult it was to get through the first film. It was very interesting. It actually very much changed perspective of what it's like to make an action film, and especially an indie film. We did Barron's Cove. I was in the middle of doing Barron's Cove interviews while we got to watch this, and that was another action film that was short, that had a very short turnaround window, a very small budget. And I actually talked to the cinematographer about the impacts of budget, thanks to watching this film and understanding better what was going on with those short turnaround action films. I really liked that about this film. That interview is available along with my interview with Chad Stahelski on our channel, so definitely check them both out. But my one and only, I don't want to call it a negative takeaway because I wish there was more. So it's a moderate takeaway from this. They only touch on the final two films of John Wick's story. They only touch on him. And there's a moment in the third film, and we're doing spoilers, they've been out for a while. The overhang visual of in the third film, where we see the top of the building, we are actually looking down from the top of the building, was one of the most innovative moments in film development. Like the fact that he did that, the fact that Stahelski set the camera up that way, which is one of the moments that KAYFABEBABY was mentioning. This was your idea. This was your idea. That's one of the most innovative directive views that anyone's ever done, ever. And people are trying to replicate it now because it was so innovative and so different. And I would have loved them to talk about that, how they did the production, how they set it up. But it's literally like a 5-minute conversation, and 3 of those 5 minutes are Keanu telling Chad, no, this was your idea. We got maybe 2 minutes of actual talk about the production. So what I would have loved to see is, I think that they could have made this documentary longer. I really do. Because I think people would definitely watch a longer version of this. Or if they had if they turned it into episodes, made it more episodic, and they talked about the other 2 films, even if they were, combined into a single episode, that, they talked about each one for about 20-30 minutes. I would have been okay with that, because I would have loved to know more specifically about that scene, and specifically about all the other people that they worked with. I mentioned at the beginning that they talk about how Hollywood stars, they are vying to be part of this franchise. Usually, even with Marvel, you see a lot of them, it's like, we fan cast, but actors aren't necessarily actively seeking out a Marvel role. Marvel is usually going out and trying to find people. People want to be in John Wick. They're not good. People are going to Stahelski and saying, I want to be in this movie. What are you doing next? So I would have loved to hear more perspective. We only got 3 minutes with some of these actors. We only got to see behind the scenes of some of the actors who they taught, some of the biggest action stars in Hollywood history. And we got no time. So what I would have loved is more. And I don't think that's a bad thing. If all you want is more, that's a good thing. But overall, really enjoyed this documentary. If you agree, if you disagree, please tell us below. If you would have liked to see more, what would you have liked to see more than talk about more? If you think they should have talked less about John Wick, tell us why. The film is available right now for video on demand on Amazon Prime, and probably Apple. It didn't say so, but at least on Amazon Prime or Prime TV. I'm sorry, Prime. Don't come to us. Don't yell at us. Prime is available on Prime. You can
Prime Video.
Prime Video.
They like saying Prime Video.
It's not Amazon Prime. Be careful. But anyway, Prime, don't get mad. With that being said, like, subscribe, share, all of those things, and we will talk to y'all soon.
Nerds rule the world.
Pleasure chatting with you. Love to all my nerds who rule the world.
Yeah. Nerds rule the world.
Yes, we do.
Thanks. Nerds rule the world. Thank you.
I love the nerds ruling the world, so more power to you.
Patrick, what up, man? And yes, they do. Nerds rule the world, kid.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Awesome. Kuya P, nerds rule the world. Hello.
Yes, they do.
Yes.
Oh,
nerds rule the world.
I got.
It's in the title of your show, like nerds rule the world. Like I want more black weirdos on screen, and I don't feel like we ever get to see that very much.
Thank you so much. Nerds do rule the world.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, nerds rule.
Love
it. Hello, Sarah. Hello, Julian.
Yes,
rock on. I love it. Thank you so much.
It's good to see you. I love Nerds Rule the World.
But yeah, there's a heavy nerd component, man.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if you ask me, nerds rule the world. So
absolutely.
And you're right. Nerds do rule the world.
We're just the best.
Yes.
Thank you, ladies.
So much.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
It's your boy Kuya P. Nerds rule the world. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you.
They rule the world all right.
Yes. Take care, Tony. Thank you, guys.